Howdy y'all, I hope you guys are all doing well, I hope you guys are safe, and I hope you guys are healthy. My name is Josh, and I absolutely love clothing, fashion, personal style, stuff like that. So if you're interested in that type of content, feel free to subscribe to me here on YouTube, as well as follow me on Instagram, which is @wears_Galdo. Today's video kind of came about just because I've been into fashion for quite a while now, and I'm just kind of like battling in my head exactly all the clothes that I'm buying and what I need and what I don't need, and I just wanted to give you guys basically 5 general tips on how not to go broke when you're a fan of fashion, clothing, and stuff like that. So hopefully this helps someone out there. That's ultimately the goal for this video, but I hope it's also entertaining and insightful for some of those who are already into fashion and can manage their money a whole lot better than I can. None of these tips are actually things that are like in order by any means, all of which are just separate individual topics that I think are very helpful. So first one is going to be attempt to keep your wardrobe small. I know I'm not really one to talk, just because my wardrobe is overflowing with just stuff, especially because I thrift so often. But if you are able to keep a small, concise wardrobe, you can then kind of be more particular about what you pick and choose to put in your wardrobe. If you've been into clothing for a while, I'm pretty sure most people would agree that it's extremely easy to overdo it. And I just wanted to kind of bring up a little bit of a reality check because I've come to this realization, and I think some other people might also have this realization eventually, is that you really don't need all that many clothes for your day-to-day life, or at least I don't, because where I work, I wear scrubs, and my scrubs are provided by the hospital. So honestly, I don't technically need very many clothes. On my days off, I don't really go out all that often, and I don't have very many occasions to go out and show out. So do I really need the amount of clothing that I have? Realistically, no. So I want to try and downsize as much as I can. I have this weird like sentimental attachment to a lot of my clothing. If I could do something different, and I'm gonna try and work on it, I want to downsize my wardrobe as much as I possibly can. Next tip into trying to save as much money as you possibly can when you're a fashion fan is definitely make sure you know where you want to allocate your money. And by that, I mean there's a lot of different categories of clothing to buy: accessories, bottoms, shoes, outerwear. There's a lot of divisions in which people are meant to kind of distribute their money, and focusing in on your most worn or most practical or useful items, I think, is actually going to be super helpful. I'm wording it kind of confusing, but if I were to say it myself, or use myself as an example rather, I would say that I spend the most money on pants and shoes. Those 2 items I wear year round. I live in Las Vegas, so in the summer it gets very hot, so I don't have use for outerwear all that much, because for at least 6 months out of the year, I'm not using outerwear, but I can always wear pants and I can always use a different pair of shoes. And so I focus on those 2. In regard to the others, outerwear specifically, I usually thrift because a lot of times vintage outerwear holds up probably the best out of the different divisions of vintage clothing. And then for t-shirts and stuff, again, I go to thrift stores and just thrift blank tees, and I don't really care about my t-shirts personally, because if you just wear a blank tee, that's a great base to like have a cohesive outfit. Accessories is a different division of fashion that I really want to start delving into. I would like to try buying like a nicer watch maybe, or going into a little bit more jewelry, which would be cool. I already have like maybe a couple of pieces that are considered a little bit more elevated in my eyes, but as for me, pants and shoes, those are my 2 go-to divisions to divert a chunk of my money that I want to spend on clothing. All right, and the next tip is going to be one that I've been preaching for years now, and it is going to be definitely shop secondhand. Retail stores and stuff can be cool, but a lot of times their prices are pretty high. MSRP prices or retail prices are pretty high. So if you're someone who wants to save a little bit of money, do your research, put in the effort to go to secondhand platforms like Grail, Depop, Vestiaire Collective, going to even to eBay, or go out and thrift, go to the Goodwill, Savers, Value Village, whatever thrift stores are around you, and put in more effort into finding a deal, and that will ultimately save you money at the cost of like maybe time and effort. Whatever platform you're using, I would actually pretty highly suggest that you take advantage of auction-based platforms, kind of like eBay, because there are amazing deals to be had when you're just bidding against other people that are trying to get it. So yeah, Yahoo Japan, eBay, stuff like that. Auctions are definitely an underrated way to get really, really good prices on clothing. So the next tip actually goes hand in hand with the last one, and it's go ahead and let go of your current pieces in your wardrobe as your taste develop and style changes and stuff like that. So basically just be open to selling your clothing secondhand, just because you can get a portion of your money back, and you can either save that money, which is probably the smarter option, or gear it towards future purchases. As I had mentioned earlier, I mean, it's really to overdo it when it comes to loving fashion and clothing. Yes, it's cool to have a really large collection of clothing. However, practically speaking, it is a lot of money just kind of staying stagnant if you're not actively wearing these pieces of clothing. So if you're done, if you've had your use with it, use these secondhand websites like Grail, Depop, eBay, other stuff as well, whatever you want to use, whatever is most conducive to your area, to actually get your money back, to try and make sure that the money that you have spent on these pieces of clothing isn't just stagnant money that we'll never get back. And just as a little bit of a shameless plug, a while ago I did a video on exactly what you should include on listings and stuff. So if you're ever curious as to how to list something on the secondhand market and make sure that your buyer has all the information they need and is comfortable with you as a legit seller, feel free to look at that video. I'll go ahead and just link that in the description below. But moving on to the last tip. And the last tip is going to be that you don't need to buy everything that you're interested in. That is one thing that I've kind of battled with for kind of a while, especially loving fashion. There are pieces that I simply love so much for either the history or the cultural impact or just overall just novelty of an item that I purchase and I just never wear. So there are so many items and different styles that don't really play well with what I wear just normally, so it doesn't make it worth it for me to purchase. If I were to give a very specific example, earlier on when I first started loving fashion and clothing, early rocker style, like kind of 80s rocker style, kind of was my ideal in regard to fashion. So I was a really big fan of SLP and that type of look, and to this day I think still it's a really cool, really viable look, but I had to come to the realization that that style doesn't fit my body type. How I'm laid out, I'm stockier than most other people. Like if you're in SLP, you're probably very tall and very skinny. I am neither one of those. So because I realized that I can't make that clothing look as good as I want it to or in the way that I want it to, I just choose not to buy that type of clothing in general anymore. And I think that is it's kind of a maturity in taste where you can kind of appreciate something from afar as opposed to trying to make it work for yourself. Distinguishing between appreciating from afar and incorporating it into your own wardrobe are two completely different things, and I think it's really helpful to recognize that because it does prevent you from buying things that might be a mistake. Alright, and so that is 5 tips to hopefully help me help you not go broke while still absolutely loving clothing and fashion. So if you guys have any other tips or suggestions, put them in the comments down below so that we can help everybody out here. I'm all about spreading knowledge and positivity, just like Drew Joyner if you're a fan of his. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and until my next video, I'll catch you guys later.